Before Alexander the Great, Macedonia still wasn't a major power. Poor, divided, and dismissed as barbarian by the Greek city-states, it seemed doomed to stay on the margins of history. Then, Philip II arrives, and everything changes at once. In less than 20 years, he turns his kingdom into the dominant force in Greece. He doesn't just win wars. He rebuilds an army, changes the rules of battle, and makes Macedonia Greece's military pivot. By the time his enemies understand what's happening, it's already too late. This is not Alexander the Great's story. It's the story of the father who made him possible. How does a kingdom on the edge of Greece become the power poised to conquer the world? Macedonia isn't a great power. It's a fragile kingdom with an estimated population of 400,000 to 800,000 and limited military capacity. In the 4th century BC, Macedonia has neither Athens' prestige, Sparta's military tradition, nor Thebes' political weight. It isn't a network of autonomous cities, but a rural, lightly urbanized territory dominated by warrior aristocracies and scattered land elites. To the Greeks in the south, Macedonia is still marginal, almost alien to their world, and often labeled barbarian. Yet that outsider position brings a strategic advantage. It controls the routes between the Balkans and the Aegean, between inland roads and the coasts. Macedonia has two faces. One is Pella, a growing political and administrative center. The other is the Aegae, the ancient dynastic seat of the Argeads, who claim Greek origins. Philip grows up on the hard frontier, but his education reaches beyond Macedonia. As a young man, he is held hostage in Thebes, where he encounters the military world that has just shattered Sparta's supremacy under Epaminondas. In 359 BC, everything seems lost. King Perdiccas III dies fighting the Illyrians, leaving the throne to his son, still a child, Amyntas IV. Illyrians press from the west, Paeonians from the north, Thracians from the east. Claimants backed by foreign powers appear, ready to carve Macedonia up. Philip, Perdiccas III's brother, becomes regent for the young heir. He immediately sees he can't afford to fight everyone at once. This is not the moment for courage, but for control. He buys time with negotiations, hostages, alliances, and promises of money. He splits his enemies, calms some, and isolates others. Within months, that provisional regency stops being provisional. Without proclamations or open breaks, Philip quietly becomes the kingdom's undisputed ruler. His task now is not conquest, but keeping Macedonia from disappearing altogether. Once the immediate crisis passes, Philip moves to the decisive phase, giving Macedonia stable economic and military foundations. Between 357 and 352 BC, he consolidates control of the northern Aegean coast through campaigns that change the kingdom's fate. He takes Pydna and Potidaea, strengthens access to the sea, and secures Crinides, later refounded as Philippi. He conquers Amphipolis, gaining direct access to Thrace's resources. Control of Mount Pangaion puts rich gold and silver mines in the king's hands. From here on, Macedonia can finance armies, diplomacy, and alliances. At the same time, a new Macedonian army takes shape. Philip reorganizes what's already there and turns it into a coherent system. At its center is the Macedonian phalanx, made up mainly of the pesitairoi, the foot companions. It's a heavy infantry force numbering 20,000 to 24,000 men. They don't fight like hoplites. They stand in compact taxis of about 1,500 men, arranged 16 ranks deep. Their distinctive weapon is the sarissa, about 13 to 20 feet long. The front ranks strike at once, creating a wall of points that is extremely difficult to penetrate. It isn't flexible, but it's devastating at stopping an enemy head-on. From this point on, the Macedonian phalanx becomes the army's core and remains decisive for more than a century. Alongside the phalanx are the hypaspists, about 3,000 men, mobile troops used at critical points. On the wings ride the companion cavalry, 2,000 to 3,000 horsemen led directly by the king and built for breakthroughs. The army is rounded out with light troops, engineers, and siege machines. The result is an organized, disciplined force capable of operating on a large scale. During the sale of Methone, he loses an eye, a reminder that he leads operations in person. In these years, his marriage to Olympias, a princess of Epirus, strengthens the Western Front. In 356 BC, Alexander is born. Tradition will remember this period as unusually favorable. It's a sign that Macedonia is becoming a state capable of sustaining long-term expansion.
Did you know that most people who watch our documentaries aren't subscribed yet? If you enjoy animated maps and history, join our community. Leave a like and subscribe so you never miss the next episodes.
Between 352 and 346 BC, Philip takes the decisive step into Greek politics by exploiting a crisis already unfolding. The Third Sacred War gives him his pretext. The Phoenicians have seized Delphi and used the sanctuary's treasure, an act seen as sacrilege across the Greek world. The conflict sets two sides against each other. The Phoenicians, backed by Athens and Sparta, and a coalition led by Thebes and Thessaly. Philip is called in by the Thessalians and intervenes as an ally, and, formally, as the defender of Delphi. When he defeats Onomarchus at Crocus Field in 352 BC, he consolidates that role. He presents himself as the defender of religious order while using the crisis to extend control over Thessaly and move control to central Greece. When he tries to push farther, he runs into Thermopylae. Athens intervenes, occupies the corridor, and blocks access. Philip avoids a pitched battle and withdraws. From this point on, he has to alternate war, diplomacy, and political pressure. Demosthenes' speech against Philip, the Philippics, spread anti-Macedonian alarm. The word survives to this day. A Philippic is still a long, heated, polemical speech against someone. Between 349 and 348 BC, he campaigns against the Chalcidian League when Olynthus turns back toward Athens. He conquers the League's cities and destroys Olynthus, eliminating a regional power and firmly consolidating control over the northern Aegean. Unable to stop him, Athens accepts the Peace of Philocrates in 346 BC. The agreement recognizes Philip's conquests and marks a shift in the balance of power. In the same context, Macedonia enters the Amphictyonic League, the body that controls Delphi and brings Greek states together, gaining formal legitimacy within the Greek system. It's the first time a Macedonian king formally enters it. After the Peace of Philocrates, tension doesn't end. Philip wants to consolidate control of Thrace and push toward Perintheus and Byzantium, two cities that control access to the Straits and the Black Sea grain routes, vital to Athens. In 340 BC, he lays siege, but he has a limit. He isn't invincible yet. Both cities hold out, receive Athenian aid and even Persian support, so Philip is forced to give up. While he's tied down in the east, Alexander, barely 16, serves as regent, crushes the Mede revolt, and founds Alexandropolis, his first real act of command. In 339 BC, a new sacred war gives Philip a route back into central Greece. The crisis grows out of the dispute over Amphissa, and, again, Delphi gives him religious cover. The Amphictyonic Council appoints him to intervene. He advances, occupies Elatea in Phocis, and rewrites the strategic picture. For Athens, it's a shock. Demosthenes pushes for an alliance with Thebes, until then a rival, because the Macedonian threat now hangs over all Greece. On August 2nd, 338 BC, at Chaeronea, two military systems collide. The numbers are uncertain, but 30,000 to 35,000 men on each side is reasonable. The Macedonian army fields the phalanx, hypaspists, and about 2,000 to 3,000 cavalry. The Greek coalition counters with hoplites from Thebes, Athens, and their allies, including the Theban Sacred Band. On the Athenian side, Philip uses a controlled retreat, drawing part of the opposing line forward and stretching its ranks. The battle reveals the Macedonian system's edge. Infantry holds the center, cavalry hits the flank. Alexander, 18, likely plays a role in the sector that shatters the Theban line. The defeat destroys the sacred band, and the Lion of Chaeronea preserves its memory. But Philip doesn't raise Thebes or strike Athens, even though he could. He stations a garrison in Thebes and cuts its political weight. Athens is spared because it still carries prestige, legitimacy, and above all, a fleet useful for the project against Persia. At Chaeronea, it isn't only an army that collapses. It is the idea that the Poleis can still decide Greece's fate on their own collapses with it. After Chaeronea, Philip has to turn victory into a stable order. Destroying Athens and Thebes would mean reopening war immediately. So he needs something else: legitimacy, political hostages, and above all, the Athenian fleet for the Persian project. So in 337 BC, he summons the Greek Poleis to Corinth and imposes a common peace. The League of Corinth is born. All major cities join except Sparta. The Poleis keep formal autonomy, but command rests in the Macedonian king's hands, appointed hegemon and strategos autocrator for the war against Persia. The project serves two purposes: presenting Macedonia as pan-Hellenic leader and preventing the Greek world from sliding back into civil war. The Asian expedition doesn't stay on paper. In 336 BC, Philip sends a vanguard across the Hellespont, about 10,000 infantry and 600 cavalry under Pangaion, Attalus, and other commanders. The goal isn't to destroy the Achaemenid Empire outright, but to create a bridgehead in Asia Minor and encourage the Greek coastal cities to break from the Great King. It's the clearest sign that the Persian plan is already underway while Philip is still alive. Meanwhile, the court begins to crack. Macedonian kings' marriages are instruments, not private affairs, and Philip has taken at least 7. When he marries Cleopatra Eurydice, the niece of Attalus, the dynastic problem explodes. During the wedding banquet, Attalus openly hints at the birth of a future heir, fully Macedonian. For Alexander, the son of Olympias, a princess of Epirus, it's a direct threat. The break with his father is immediate, and it pulls his mother into the conflict as well. The reconciliation comes, but it solves nothing. In 336 BC, at Aigai, during celebrations for the marriage of his daughter Cleopatra to Alexander of Epirus, Philip II is assassinated by Pausanias, one of his bodyguards. A personal motive is the strongest explanation. A wider conspiracy remains possible, but Alexander's direct complicity is neither proven nor supported by surviving evidence. Philip dies at the height of success. He has at least doubled and probably tripled the territory controlled by Macedonia, expanding it from roughly 8,000 to 10,000 square miles to more than 19,000 to 23,000. And he has imposed his hegemony over almost all of Greece. In the ancient world, borders are fluid, and accumulated power often means hegemony, not direct annexation. Add Thelsi, Chalcidice, and part of Thrace, an hegemony over Greece through the League of Corinth, and Philip's real sphere of power becomes far larger than Macedonia itself. If you enjoyed this journey through Macedonia's rise, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. In the next episodes, we'll see how Alexander inherits this kingdom and turns it into history's greatest conquest.